Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. If you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Wednesday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Oakland Athletics taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hogan Harris and Roansy Contreras are your starters in this one. Now, it looks like Hogan Harris will be getting his first start of the season after 3 bullpen appearances. And the last game against the Miami Marlins, it was a Shintaro Fujinami opener in an inning. He gave up 2 runs in that first inning, so didn't really set up Hogan Harris too well. But Harris pitched well. I mean, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. Before that, against the Houston Astros on May 27th, Harris went 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, no earned runs. So he has pitched well in his last 10 innings of work at the major league level after struggling mightily in his first appearance back on April 14th. But, you're facing a Pittsburgh Pirates team that has struggled mightily against lefties in the last 30 days, where they're 27th in OPS and they're dead last in baseball in isolated power. I think Hogan Harris is going to pitch well in this start. And Roansy Contreras, a 4.82 ERA now, gave up 5 more earned runs and 2 homers in his last start against the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been far worse at home at PNC Park than he has been on the road this year. At home, a 6.3 ERA, so it's tough to back him here, especially at this kind of price. I'm going to take the Oakland A's in the first 5 innings. I don't trust that bullpen, so just give me the Oakland A's plus a half a run in the first 5. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the San Diego Padres. George Kirby and Michael Wacha are your starters. It's going to be a 4:10 Eastern start time. 2 pitchers that are in good form going into the start. We know Kirby struggled a couple starts back against the Pittsburgh Pirates, where he gave up those 4 home runs and 7 earned runs. But other than that, Kirby's been really sharp this season. He's been even better on the road with a 2.34 ERA and 34 2/3 innings away from home. His strikeout numbers aren't the best, but he's facing a Padres team that has really struggled against righties this season, and that's definitely the case in the last 30 days. Michael Wacha on the other side is also pitching well. He's got his ERA now at 3.48 on the season. But to me, at this kind of game, I kind of see it as a coin flip kind of game. And I do think I'd just rather take the team with the better starting pitcher and getting plus money. The Seattle Mariners, both teams have good bullpens. Both teams kind of, so-so in the offensive department against righties in the last 30 days. But I do think Kirby is the better option on the mound. We saw Wacha walk 5 batters in his last start against the Chicago Cubs, 2 earned runs and 4 2/3 innings. So I don't love that. I'll take a lean here with the Seattle Mariners on the money line, getting that plus money. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Reese Olson and Zach Wheeler are your starters. Reese Olson pitched really well in his first start at the Major League level, his MLB debut against the White Sox. 5 innings, 2 runs, and 6 strikeouts. Now, the Tigers still lost that game, though, 3-0, the final score. And the Tigers' offense has struggled as of late, especially against right-handed pitchers. Zach Wheeler's been much better at home this season than he has been on the road. On the road, a 5.18 ERA. At home, though, with 35 2/3 innings, 37 strikeouts, and a solid 3.53 ERA. So I do think Wheeler pitches well here against a struggling Tigers lineup. And, the Philadelphia Phillies starting to wake up offensively. They had a really big weekend against the Washington Nationals. 3 games in a row where they had double-digit hits. They had a lot of extra base hits. They scored a lot of runs. And we saw that in the first game of this series where they scored 8 runs against the Tigers. They had a lot of extra base hits and home runs. Nick Castellanos is staying one of the hotter hitters in baseball right now. So I do think the Phillies win this game and cover the run line against the young pitcher in Olsen. So give me the Philadelphia Phillies on the run line. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Miami Marlins. We're going to see Jordan Lyles and Edward Cabrera on the mound in this one. Edward Cabrera has been a completely different pitcher at Lone Depot Park this season, where he's 4-0 with a 2.77 ERA. He's had 26 innings of work with 38 strikeouts, so he misses a ton of bats at Lone Depot. We saw in his last game 6 innings of shutout baseball, 10 strikeouts in a 4-0 Miami win. I could see a similar result here, but I'm just going to take the under in this game because I do think the total is a little bit too high because Jordan Lyles is on the other side. Yes, Jordan Lyles is 0-9 this season with a 6.89 ERA, and the Royals are 0-13 in his first 13 starts. However, he's coming off his best start of the season against a tough Rockies lineup. The Rockies going into that game were top 5 in baseball in team OPS against righties in the last 30 days. Lyles went 5 innings, 2 hits, only 1 run, with 8 strikeouts against Colorado. The Royals bats didn't back him up, and the bullpen didn't back him up in the end, but I still think Lyles can build off a start like that. And the Marlins have been solid offensively. There's no doubt about it. More so against lefties this year than against righties. I think they win this game. I think the Marlins do win this game, but I do think they're a little bit overvalued. So I'd rather just take the under here, 8.5 runs in Kansas City, Miami. Next up, it's the Minnesota Twins taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Pablo Lopez going for Minnesota. No official starter for the Rays right now. The Rays bullpen has really struggled, as of late in the last 30 days, and the Rays could be going with a bullpen game here. Tampa Bay in the last month, a 6.11 ERA and a 4.71 SIERA. That's the second highest SIERA, a 5.02 xFIP. So the numbers aren't pretty right now for Tampa Bay in the bullpen. And, Pablo Lopez has been solid on the road this year. He has struggled mightily at Target Field, where he's got that 6.11 ERA. But on the road, solid numbers, 3.00 ERA, 36 innings, 44 strikeouts. So I do think Lopez can pitch well in this game. Tampa Bay at the start of the season, one of the hotter lineups in baseball against righties. But in the last 30 days, they're right around league average in OPS and isolated power. So, I do think Lopez can pitch well in this one. I'm going to take a shot here with the Twins on the road on the money line. Next up, it's the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Washington Nationals. Zach Davies and Patrick Corbin are your starters. I'm going to look at this game in the first 5 innings, as I don't really trust this Nationals bullpen. It has been, struggling so far in 2023, but I do think that they have an advantage in the first 5 innings. As Patrick Corbin, his last 4 games, the Nationals have won all 4 of those games. He's been solid in most of those. He struggled in that Kansas City Royals start where he gave up those 6 earned runs, but like I said, the Nationals still went on to win that game. And, Zach Davies on the other side, not really my favorite starting pitcher to back, a 5.4 ERA so far this season. The Nationals have really improved their numbers against righties in the last 30 days or so, with their top 10 in baseball in team OPS against righties, with a low strikeout rate as well. I think they get to Davies here, and I think they have a lead after the end of the first 5, so give me the Nationals on the money line in the first 5 innings. Next up, it's the Chicago White Sox taking on the New York Yankees. Lance Lynn going for Chicago. No official starter for the Yankees right now. I'm going to lean towards the Yankees here. Obviously, not a lot of information for the starting pitching matchup, but, Lance Lynn has struggled this season, a 6.55 ERA. He's just been very inconsistent. We've seen some strong outings from him, like the game against the Cleveland Guardians back on May 16th. 7 innings, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts in an 8-3 White Sox win. But then we've also seen some really bad outings, like the last start against the Angels. 4 innings, 8 base hits, 8 earned runs, and 3 homers in that game in a 12-5 Angels win. I can't back him here at Yankee Stadium, a very hitter-friendly ballpark against a tough Yankees lineup. So give me the New York Yankees on the money line in a lean. Next up, it's the Toronto Blue Jays hosting the Houston Astros. Ronel Blanco and Chris Bassett are your starters. Ronel Blanco so far this year, a 4.15 ERA, but an even steeper 5.09 expected ERA and 4.95 xFIP. He's got good strikeout numbers, 10.9 Ks per 9, but the walks are a little bit concerning, 5.19 walks per 9. He has had issues with his control throughout his career in the minor leagues and the major league level, and the Blue Jays, they have hit righties very well in the last 30 days with the #1 team OPS in baseball, so it's tough to get there with Blanco. With Chris Bassett pitching much better at home this season than he has been on the road, I do think he is the better option, so give me the Toronto Blue Jays on the money line. Next up, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to see Noah Syndergaard and Brandon Williamson on the mound in this one. Usually this time of year, Great American Ballpark becomes very hitter-friendly, and I expect with this pitching matchup, we're going to see a lot of runs in this game. I like the over. Brandon Williamson's got a solid 4.29 ERA through his first few outings at the major league level. However, a 6.3 expected ERA and 5.16 xFIP. I do expect some major regression in his game going forward. And you're facing the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is the #1 team in baseball in team OPS, isolated power in the last 30 days against lefties. They also have an 11.4% walk rate, which is the second highest in baseball, and a very low strikeout rate at 18.3%, fourth lowest in baseball. So I expect the Dodgers to go way over their team total, but I also think the Reds will chip in offensively themselves against a struggling Syndergaard, who's given up 11 earned runs in his last 11 innings of work, 4 home runs to go with it. He's got an even worse numbers on the road this year with a 9.9 ERA away from home. Give me the over here in Los Angeles, Cincinnati. Next up, it's the Boston Red Sox taking on the Cleveland Guardians. No official starter for the Red Sox right now, but we should see Tanner Bybee going for Cleveland. I'm going to take a lean here with the Cleveland Guardians. I like what I've seen from Tanner Bybee so far this season at the major league level. He's got 40 strikeouts and 39 1/3 innings of work. Only 3 home runs allowed this season, so he's done a pretty good job of keeping the ball on the ground, even when he's facing some tough lineups like his last couple of starts, he gave up a home run apiece to the Twins and Cardinals, but those are some of the toughest lineups to face as a righty, especially in the power department in baseball this year. So I like what I've seen from Bybee. I think he's good enough here against a struggling Red Sox lineup against righties, and Bybee's even been even better at progressive field this year with a 2.74 ERA in his first 23 innings at home, 26 strikeouts, only 1 home run, and a low 207 opponent's batting average. Give me the Cleveland Guardians on the money line. Next up, it's the New York Mets taking on the Atlanta Braves. We're going to see Max Scherzer and Charlie Morton on the mound in this one. I've mentioned the Mets have been able to get to Charlie Morton pretty consistently in the last couple of seasons, and we saw that in his first start against the Mets this year back on May 1st. It was 5 1/3 innings for Morton. He gave us 6 base hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks. He had 6 strikeouts, but this Mets team does a good job at limiting strikeouts overall, and I think they'll be able to get to Charlie Morton again in this game. And with Max Scherzer on the other side, really looking like the old Max Scherzer, in his last 4 starts, 1 earned run or fewer in all 4 of those games. He's missing bats. He's keeping the ball on the ground. Only 1 home run allowed in those 4 starts, and that was at Coors Field at Colorado, which it was still a very good start for him. The Mets have won all 4 of his last 4 starts, with 3 of those 4 wins being on the run line. I think this is the best chance the Mets have in this series to grab a win over their rivals. I think they take this one. Give me the New York Mets on the money line. Next up, it's the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Milwaukee Brewers with Dean Kramer and Corbin Burnes on the mound in this one. I do think there's some value here with the Orioles on the road, as they've been a pretty profitable road team this season. I mean, a 20-10 record going into Tuesday's games, and Dean Kramer's really improved his game since, the beginning of the season. He struggled quite a bit, but his last 5 starts, 3 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of those games. He's done a good job of keeping the ball on the ground. He's been getting out of jams, and he's earning some more strikeouts as well, which is always a plus. I mean, Corbin Burnes is a good pitcher on the other side, obviously. A sub-4 ERA this season, but, a little bit worse numbers at home this year. He just hasn't been the same Corbin Burnes, the same stopper pitcher that we've seen the last couple of seasons for Milwaukee. I mean, the Brewers are 1-3 on the money line in its last 4 starts. So I do think that there's some value with a good road team, a team with a better bullpen like the Orioles have. I'm going to take the Orioles here on the money line on the road. Next up, it's the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Texas Rangers. Jack Flaherty and John Gray are your starting pitchers. I do think the Rangers have the better starter on the mound in this game, even though Gray's numbers a little bit better on the road. He overall has been really sharp this year, 6-1 record with a 2.51 ERA. I had my concerns with him at the beginning of the month of May, as he was struggling a little bit towards the end of April, but he has been razor sharp his last 5 games, 1 earned run or fewer in all 5 of those games. He's missing bats. His ground ball to fly ball ratio hasn't been the best, but I still think he pitches well enough here. And Jack Flaherty, been very inconsistent this year. He's been better on the road, and he's certainly in good form going into this start. But he faced the Pirates and the Guardians in the last couple of games, some pretty weak lineups. Now you're facing the Texas Rangers, who can go toe-to-toe with the Cardinals in their numbers against righties in the last month or so. So I think Gray is good enough here. Give me the Texas Rangers. You can take them in the first 5 innings if you don't trust that Rangers bullpen, but the Rangers bullpen was good enough in the first game of this series, so I'll just take Texas in the full game money line. Next up is the San Francisco Giants taking on the Colorado Rockies. Logan Webb and Connor Siebold are your starters. Now, Logan Webb has pitched really well overall this year. He's got a 2.85 ERA. Now, his numbers aren't as good on the road with a 3.66 ERA, but he pitched at Coors Field last year twice against the Rockies, and he pitched really well in both of those games. He had a very low opponent's batting average, a low ERA as well. I think he pitches well in this game. The Giants have not done the best job backing him up offensively. He really has not got a lot of run support, and most of those, he's facing tough pitchers on the other side. This game, though, you're facing Connor Siebold, who has not been great this year, a 5.4 ERA, and a Rockies bullpen that's so-so. So I think that the Giants can get to the Rockies pitching staff in this one, enough for Webb to take care of the rest. I think Webb, the fact that he keeps the ball on the ground, he usually pitches deep into ball games, I think that gives the Giants the advantage in this one. So give me the San Francisco Giants on the money line. Next up, we see the final game for Wednesday's card in Major League Baseball, the Chicago Cubs and the Los Angeles Angels. Jameson Taillon and Jaime Barria are your starters in this one. Barria has, in years past has struggled in the starting pitching role for the Angels, but this season as a starter, he has pitched very well. And we see his last 2 starts against the White Sox on May 31st and the Red Sox on May 22nd, a combined 10 innings of work with only 1 earned run and 12 strikeouts, no home runs as well. He's done a really good job of keeping the ball on the ground and limiting sharp contact. The Cubs have not been the best against righties in the last 30 days, with their 25th and 24th in team OPS and isolated power, while the Angels have been pretty good against righties overall this year, where they're top 10 in baseball in OPS and they are top 10 in isolated power as well. Taillon pitched pretty well in his last game against the San Diego Padres, But we've mentioned the Padres have really struggled against righties, and in 4 of the last 5 starts for Taillon, he's given up at least 4 earned runs. So, I don't really trust him in this game, even though he's improving a little bit. I think the Angels are the better side. So give me the Los Angeles Angels on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in Major League Baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.